And second, I don't know if you've been following Frank on Twitter this month, Rohan, but Frank's been on a mission to get his idle home energy consumption down to as much as possible. So he has been smashing it. So if you
which is awesome.
Wanting to see what Frank's doing on that, do give him a follow on Twitter and go through his threads.
It's becoming fairly important, right? Especially in places where there is a full out energy crisis, right? It's this is kind of the cool thing about, again, tangent time. This is kind of the cool thing here about like things like Home Assistant, right? Or any other really engine that lets you do this. Where you're now able to start saying, okay, you know what, this is actually a concern. I actually want to not necessarily do my part, but even selfishly, it does help you, right? So helps you lower power, which helps you lower your costs overall. So, I mean, again, there's some, robbing Peter to pay Paul here, right? Because the problem is some of these things aren't cheap, right? Especially when you're doing things like smart switches, like light switches or smart bulbs or anything like that, right? But I don't know. I still think there's some intrinsic value, right? So behind doing a lot of those things.
Yeah, I think I was reading a forum on the Home Assistant community, and someone was like, "Yep, I've paid for this smart switch already by being able to reduce, this amount of power usage or whatever." And
I mean, I think I have too, but I also turn around and I'm like, have I saved $60 on this light above me? I get it, right? Like, again, depending on what it's controlling, maybe it did, right? So, but again, when you start doing things like, hey, you know what? I've got temperature sensors hooked up to Home Assistant. I've got my fan hooked up to Home Assistant. I've got my AC hooked up to Home Assistant. It's kind of hot in here. Well, maybe let's make a decision to turn on the fan instead of the AC because that's a little more efficient, whatever that looks like, right? So, and then if it hits this threshold, then you know what? No, it's AC time, right? Then we turn it on. It's funny. I think this is the third AC analogy I've used, or maybe second AC analogy I've used, and it's winter, and I just came back from Calgary, and it was not warm. Let's put it that way.
I know we're both in jumpers today, which is
I'm freezing today, so it's bad examples here, but hopefully you understand it's an analogy, not a reality of my situation right now. But
that's it.